All right, I'm going to start a new page in my art journal. I have a page that I had been working on that I really did not like the color scheme of, because I feel like these flowers look like ketchup and mustard. But as I was finishing it up and building on it, I fell in love with the concept. So I'm getting rid of this idea. And even though I'm starting fresh, I am picking a page with some color on it. This is a weekly time book. And I have, over the course of a few years, just filled it with different things. Whenever I use my gelli plate, I clean off my brayer, either on my background paper or in my art journal. So I'm going to start with my very well used gelli plate, Gelli gelli plate. It's about 1/4 of an inch thick. And I'm going to make some prints, and I'm going to be transferring some things onto my book. So these pages are what I will be using to pull prints. I may end up putting the gelli plate on the book, I'm not sure, but I will be cleaning my brayer, which will have colors and design left over from the stencils. So here are your supplies. You're going to have your art journal or other pages. You're going to have your gelli plate, and then pick a color palette. I have chosen my background colors to be the yellow and the green because it's more leaf-like. And then for the flowers, I want to use 2 shades of pink. So I'm going to start, oh, and then stencils. The stencils are just going to be vague in the background, but it will allow me to come back with my white gel pen or another color and do some outlining. So I picked some of my favorites. I cannot exactly plan what's going to happen in this book, but we'll see what happens. When you pick your background colors, get colors that when they blend will not become muddy. And I also wanted to keep my background not too dark. I may end up adding things to this as I go, as far as colors. I'm going to put this, I'm going to stop it and restart it on time lapse, so you do not have to watch every tedious step. Alrighty, so I've got the greens that I want in the background, and I really like it that there are other colors coming through, and that is why I did not just start with the white page, even though it has the nice, let's see if we can show you. It's a ledger, so it has all those lines on it, which I really like. When I found this, I was very excited to be able to start with that. So when I did all of that work on the gelli print, I also pulled these prints. When I laid the stencil down, I tried to pull something off of there, and that just gives me a few little bonus prints to use later. So I use this geometric, and I use this floral, and I did not use this. That has some nice texture. I did not use that. And I used, nope, I didn't use that one either. I could, if I wanted, I could pick up some paint and roll over that if I felt like I needed more depth in the background. I'm okay with this right now, though. I might be sorry later that I didn't, but I feel like I can see some flowers there that I'll be able to use, okay? Boy, I'm having second thoughts on that. Nope, just gonna leave it. Okay, so now I need some type of tray to hold my paint. I'm going to use this and put my 2 colors in, the bright pink some bright pink. And I have two pale pinks because they're both kind of low. One of them is going to run out. I'm using quite a bit, and you'll see why. I need a brush that is mushy and bendable. I'm looking for the one I used last time, which I'm not seeing. I think this one might work. And what I'm going to do is just kind of get some of each color. I'll practice over here. When you lay that down, it makes petals. You're just going to press petals like that, okay? And you kind of don't know what you're going to get as far as where the paint lays. And you really are going to sop it up. It gives it texture. So I'm going to start here. Just press down like that. I may actually pick some more colors and do a variety of flowers. You can also change your brush size. You could do a single color. I really like it mixed. There are a lot of flowers out there that are variegated. I'm making this up as I go. I've already had some other ideas. This is going to be lots of spring colors in here. So I'm going to do clusters of different colors and flowers. Generally 5 petals. So many flowers are 5 petals. If your brush seems to be making skinny petals, just sop some more paint on there. And if it gets messy, oh well, don't try to fix it too much because you'll end up with more of a mess than what you started with. All right, I'll do one more down here. I don't want my cluster to be exactly round. Okay. And I'm going to leave this paint in there. Let me pick some other colors. I think I'm going to do light blue violet and lavender. Oh, no, I'm not going to do lavender with that. I'm going to do a dark blue. Stick to the same very close family. Pardon the clunkiness. All right, so that one's all cleaned off. I don't like to leave my brushes sit in the water because then it bends the hairs. All right, let's see how this works. You're really going to mess your brush up. You want to get it all the way up. Oh, this is a good one. Okay. I need more dark blue. I mixed it all into it. Really, you don't want to use a textured tray for this, but that's what I had handy. And so loading it up, press. And I like to leave a little space in the middle. And I like it when the petals are not the exact shape as the other petals, because in real life, that's how it is. You could probably even do a 3-petal and then do some shorter ones like that. So you're not looking at the flower full on. Let's do it this way. And don't want to, because that pink flowers are wet, I really don't want to lay my wet brush into that. I guess you could let it dry and come back. I'm going to do some down here. All right. Later we're going to come back with pens and markers and highlight some of this stuff. Okay, how about one more here? I do like to clean my brushes off on my background paper, because then I end up with some really pretty background papers. All right, I'm going to go for some yellow this time. This is a deep yellow. It's more of like an orangey color, but that's all right. This uses a lot of paint. But that's okay, because then you go get more paint. I'm going to use this pale yellow in there with it. I have a little guide. I put a dab of each of these colors, who makes it. So I have my Premier line. I put a dab of the color and what it's called, and then I take it with me, if I remember, to the store, and then I can make sure I don't double up. Not that I haven't, it hasn't happened before. If these don't show up real well, that's okay, because you can go back and go around them. I'm going to use this orange over here where the background is darker, because then this will show up better. Every time I dip, I try to get a different mixture of the colors, maybe a little more of the lighter sometimes, and then the next time more of the dark. Just going to do an all dark one here. It's a little too goopy. Oops. That's all right, they can overlap each other. I didn't do that last time, but you do it however you want. If you do one side of the flower with a longer, you can almost kind of drag it, get a longer petal, and then leave the other ones a little shorter, giving him an extra petal. I'm really glad I decided to use a lot of different colors on this. And I'm even going to go into the other page. Even though the background greens are a little different. I'm going to let the yellow spread over to that part of the little garden. And some of the flowers are off the page. All right, I guess I'll do some of these over here. If you have a softer bristle brush, you'll get that nice spread when you press down. And you can experiment. You can pull brushes down and press with them and see what kind of effect you get. I'm going to just connect these yellow flowers so they're flowing from the one page underneath the other. When you start out, you're probably going to feel like you want to make them perfect. By the time you get to the end, they're going to be less than perfect, and you're probably not going to care as much. Another really goopy one. All right, I dripped there, so we'll bring that over. Alrighty. I'm gonna put some pink. I think I'm gonna do some big pink up here. Let me see what my... I don't think that's gonna work. I'm gonna get your brush wet. I like to make sure I get the water off of this because you don't want the water running down. Ah, this is the brush. This is the brush I must have used on that other page because the shape is very similar. I don't know if you can hear that piano and kids upstairs. My daughter and her family and the kids live with me. And somebody's playing the piano. All right, I made a mess there. That's okay. Somebody's gonna come looking for me. I know that. They have no idea that I'm doing this down here, but that's all right. I really want to fill this in as much as I can. I feel like these three colors are plenty, the pink and the yellow and the blue. And when this is dry, I'll use pens to add some details and some markings that remind me of trapunto in quilting. I don't know if it's called trapunto when you are doing it with the pen, but it's just little squiggle lines all over the place. And you try not to go back over your tracks. Is that done? I feel like I need to fill in over here. And my pink's almost gone, so that will mean I am done with the pink. I really am glad that I did different size flowers. Alrighty. I'm gonna do some little blue ones over on my bottom left. So I think this will be good. Adding some water. If you add too much water, which I sort of did there, it's going to make them too translucent. I really want these opaque. That's better. It's rainy, super rainy today. There was rain coming in through the Bilco doors, so I had to put some aluminum pans there to catch the water. And you can hear the French drain just running and running and running down into the sump pump. I'm not doing any leaves because the green background, it will suffice as leaves. I put one rogue blue up there. I don't want it too random. I like having the clusters, and I'm going to put little blue in there. Little blue flower in there just to tie it together a little bit. All right, and I'm gonna do yellow up in that corner, and I'll use my smaller brush. I like this small one. I'll use this for the yellow. It's a little too runny. So I just started working in my art journal again after, oh goodness, I think I did it one day in the past 6 months, and before that it was probably 2 years since I touched it, and just have not felt the groove. Work was very consuming of my energy, and if my house is a wreck, I have a hard time getting into this, because I really do prefer to have my house in order, even though I tend to be pretty messy at times. Right, I think that's it. Nope, I'm not going to do that. Alrighty, so I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to come back and add some touches to it. The paint is really thick. This probably will not be dry until tomorrow, possibly this evening, but I doubt it because the basement is damp and cool, and I only have the heater on here when I am down here. So I'm going to show you all of the colors that I used. Premier and Basics. I have a few Amsterdam. I like those. The Basics tend to be more translucent. They're not my favorite. All right, I think that's everything. Oh wait, and this one. Here's another Basics. So there we go. I think you can see all those colors. So that if you like this idea, you don't have to use the exact names of the paints I do. It just gives you an idea of the palette. And I really played around with it a lot to come up with what I wanted. All right, I'll be back when it's dry. Good morning. All right, it is at least 18 hours later. I think I stopped yesterday afternoon and around noon or 1, and this is now 8 o'clock in the morning. So I played around a little bit before I turned this on to find exactly what I was going to use in here. In my last project, which again the colors were all wrong, but it was still a great way to practice technique, and that's something to remember when you work in your journal. You may end up with something you really don't like this. I think the colors are gross. But I have some bees over here, as you can see, and this is just too much of a punch in the face of orange. I do like this dusky bluish green background, but it gave me a chance to see, like here with the stencils that I used on my jelly plate. When I made this background, I was able to outline some of the flowers there, which I think is a great background for these flowers. And I got to use pens to determine what I wanted to outline each flower with. This one showed me that a fat marker didn't work. The black is okay. I feel like it's kind of harsh for what I'm doing. So I tested a little bit. I played around a little bit with this It's a Prismo watercolor pencil. And I went around a flower and just wet it a little bit. I really liked what happened. For the center of the flowers, I probably will do black because I like the way that kind of makes the center of the flower look deep, and I might use this instead. And the white, I'm not sure what's happening with that yet. I like using something on this green background. I think the white is going to be perfect for that. And maybe even a little green or yellow with it, but I'm not sure. That would be another place. So this print that I pulled would be a great place. Always test your pen before you put it on what you're doing. Would be a great place to see, and I'm just doing little squiggles to see how I think the green would look on that background versus a white. The white barely shows up on this green. It showed up great on the other page, but really can't see it. Maybe over here where it's darker, it will show up better. I might be able to use both, and yeah, yellow will be lost on that. Yellow, but yellow shows, excuse me, I have hiccups a little bit. Excuse me. One thing that didn't happen on this page that happened on the other one, I can't see my stencils. I rolled over them, so I did not get to see the pattern of the stencils in the back of this the way I wanted. So that's kind of disappointing, but as you can see them here, I really liked tracing over the stencil patterns. So that will not be happening. I could, since I said I like this, I could come in and do some tracing with the stencil. I don't like, some people after they do something like this will take patches of color and put it over top. It's really not what the look I'm going for. All right, so we're getting rid of the yellow. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take the black. I have fresh water, by the way, which is important. I'm going to take this and outline these first. I think I should outline these first before I go in and do squiggles in the background, because I'm going to have to wet it, and I don't know what the wet is going to do to the squiggles, and I don't want the shading competing with the squiggles. So I'm just going to draw with my charcoal pencil. I'm just going to draw around where the petals come in, because I want it to look shaded there and make it pop off the page. I'm even doing right in there. Okay, so just going to do that one flower. You can hardly see that, but once you add water, and again, I don't want a big bunch of water coming down my brush. So often on the edge of my water glass, there will be a droplet of water, and that's just the right amount. So I'm really drying off this brush. I'm going to start from the middle and just wet it and kind of pull. And I probably used too much already just with what I did. I can see that's kind of dark. So I'll just pull that around very slowly. I really, really like doing, I need to stop saying really. I thoroughly enjoy taking my time with these projects and doing fine, detailed work. It's relaxing. And again, this is not something I'm hanging up on the wall. This is something that just brings me pleasure to work on. I've gone back, I don't know how many times in my art journal and just looked at what I've done, and it makes me happy because I remember, you know, I'm not striving to create a great work of art here. I'm having fun with the materials. I love to create. It's such a pleasure to me to be able to create. All right, now I'm going to clean off my brush and just pull a little more. I'm tabbing some of that off. It's kind of too much. I like the way that looks better. And any of those rough lines, I can just fade off into the background, okay? I want to soften that edge a little more. I remember the first project I worked on where I actually shaded around the object. It was a collage fish that I did, mixed media collage fish with inks and tissue paper. And I loved the fish, but it was so flat. It had no depth. It was very elementary and just kind of sat on the page. So I looked at other people's artwork, which is a great thing to do. Zoom in and look at the details and try to figure out how they did it. And so I took a black, just a very fine, even finer than this, black marker. And probably, nope, I don't have one down here, I don't think. And traced around the fish, and then within the fish, I did teeny little dots, just tap, 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 and I could see this fish come alive as I was doing that. I think I might, just on this one flower, I'm going to finish this flower, and then I will put it on time lapse and finish the page, so you don't have to watch me do 100 flowers, however many are on this page. So little dots, a whole lot in the center. Of course, the more dots you do, the darker it's going to be. I'm going to see if I can, if this will let me zoom in. It will not let me zoom in. Okay, because I've got it on reverse. On the page that I showed you before, I use lines. I'm not sure if I want to do that on this. I'm really not sure if I want to. So this is blue. This will give me an idea if I want to do it. Not sure if I want to put those little tiny lines in or not. I'm going to pass on that for now because I'm loving the dots. I can always do some dots, slowly come out of the center to put some dots in there. I think this looks much better than the lines. What I can do is, see where this petal is? I can do a very fine line to show you where one petal ends and which petal's on top. So this is the top petal right here. They don't always overlap each other the way you think they would. Like when you hold cards in your hand and you layer them, that is not always how it works. Over here, I'm going to let this petal be more dominant over the side petal. Yeah, I really like that. So that's all I'm going to do. And I think I'll stick with that. Sometimes I change my mind. Lots of dots in the center. Slowly work your way out and don't go out too far. Okay? I like that flower a lot. You might feel like you can do some things with this marker that you couldn't do with the watercolor pencil. There we go. I like that. I'm very happy with that flower. All right, I'm going to speed it up and work on the rest of this. All right, so I feel like my flowers are done. And now I'm going to think about the background. If you remember, on the page that I did that I was not happy with, I did this in the background. I also outlined some of the stencil marks, which I don't have on this page. So I'm not sure if I want to go behind all of this with that white or not. I don't know how it'll show up. Maybe green would be better. I'm really happy with my flowers. So I'm going to maybe pick a corner to do this in. And then if I decide I don't like it, it'll just sort of be an accent in the corner. So what I do is I just draw squiggles. I never cross over the line. I just go back and forth. I try not to do any kind of pattern. So I'm just filling in, filling in, filling in. I don't know if you can see that. It's tedious. So this is not a quick project, as you've probably deduced by now. And I think I like that. So that's what the white looks like. I'm assuming over here where it's lighter, maybe it won't show up so well. It shows up a little bit. It just gives it a nice, another layer, which is nice. We've got the layers of color, the original colors that were on the page before I did anything. Then I put the greens on top of that, a couple of layers of greens, and then using the watercolor pencils gave another layer, and I don't want to ruin that. I don't want to ruin that with these small lines. So maybe I'll have them come in to the page from the outside and not dominate the background. So here's a little bit of it there. I think I talked to you before about how I've seen people who do a page like this and then they decide they're going to mark out part of it, you know, a swatch of color over top. I don't want to do that. But I understand how the random patches of something to break up the monotony of this whole page. But I don't want to go over any of this because I'm happy with it. There's this one flower here looks like a little running person, and every time I look at it, I see that. So I actually filled in here a little bit to hide what appeared to me to be a foot. I'm always seeing people and faces and things, and that was distracting. So I kind of broke that up by coloring over it. Another thing you could do back here is if you're a word person, you know, people put words on their wall, patience, happiness, or seize the day, or whatever it may be. If you like words, you could work words into this. I don't think I'm going to do that. I really like this broken up more. So maybe I'll just do it in certain parts so as not to ruin the background that I'm really happy with. Sort of think of this as a little vine that might be growing here and there. I love this pen. I think I once bought like a 8-pack on Amazon. They're Jelly Roll, made by Sakura. It says Jelly Roll 8. So I guess maybe that is the size. And sometimes, depending on what surface you're sketching on, it will coat the ball tip, and then you have to clean it off or give it a chance to dry. You don't want that caking on there and ruining it. There are certain surfaces I have used this on that really have just killed my pen. So if you notice that your background is giving the pen a hard time, then maybe stop, because you don't want to ruin this nice little pen. Yeah, I kind of like the randomness of that. Maybe I'll do that here and there. Let's see what happens with green. This is another gel. Let's see. There's a name on here. This is probably from the dollar store because I don't see anything printed on there. I'm going to go where it's dark and do a little bit of that. And since this is just for me, this is not something that I'm presenting to someone. I'm not trying to impress anyone with this or make a finished product that is perfect, because that's not what this book is about. So there's the green. That's okay. I'm not loving the green. Maybe if it was a little earthier, so do some white over it to break it up a little bit. It's kind of harsh. So I'm going to go ahead and do time lapse again and fill in random spots. Alrighty, I have brought my art journal upstairs where the sunlight is coming in the window and will show things better. I'm going to zoom in and get closer. I realize in going back and editing and viewing what I've done so far that it's really hard to see the detail. So I will start up here. As you can see, in some places I use the white gel pen to accentuate the edges of the flowers. There was white in there from the light yellow. You can see here, that's actually the light yellow paint, which I really like. But I did use the pen, I think that's pen, I'm not sure. You can see it on the blue flowers especially. I talked about putting little lines in here and there. I did that on the yellow, I did it on the pink, I did not do it on the blue. I did outline some petals where I felt like there was a need. You can see, I'll not put my finger in there anymore. You can see there where I used the black or the white to help the petals stand apart from each other. I'll just go around here. I love how the paint is crackled. I know that you can intentionally do a crackle finish. I don't know how to do that, but it happened and I like it. And I think I really like it that it was organic, because I don't like false techniques, faux techniques, generally speaking. So here we go. Can you see here where using the white on the edge, it just makes that petal look like you're looking at the side of the petal. It is amazing how that works. So I'll just go over this real quick again, and thank you for watching. This was so much fun. This is so relaxing. And if you can get past being critical of yourself, you can really enjoy doing this. Here's the spot where I put the green gel pen. I hated it. I did not like that green gel pen at all. So I took a juicy white marker and just scribbled over it, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I have information in the comments about all of the materials used, and stay tuned for a video of my art journal. Thanks for watching.